So we returned to our walk through the book of Exodus. Last week it was Exodus 33. This week it's Exodus 34. The topic is trust. And I started by talking about all the importance of trust and who do we trust and how trust in institutions is breaking down and how really alarming this is. And so then we looked at Exodus 34 and I said there's three sections to this. The first one sort of deals with God shielding Moses in the crevasse of the tunnel so that he could see so he could move past, and then Moses could look at God, the backside of God moving away. And then the second deals with the whole idea of reconstituting the covenant that God has created with his people because it's been broken by the golden calf and their idolatry. And then the third part dealt with some sort of restating some of the laws, some of the Ten Commandments and some other things. It can be a little confusing, but basically it's just talking about how trust is going to be built and restored. And so we then went back to Exodus 34, 6, and 7. Pivotal passage, very important. It shows up all throughout the Old Testament. It is God sort of it is God defining himself, listing attributes. I mentioned this passage during Mother's Day, talked about the first one, he's gracious and compassionate, talked about the fact that there's a play here on the root word, Hebrew term that goes to womb, and it talks about the compassion of God. God has compassion for us like a mother has compassion for a newborn, and then I had a Mother's Day sermon based on that. And we went back and we looked at these attributes of God, and in particular I was saying, you have to understand, I have to figure out who we're going to trust, right? Are we going to trust God? Are we going to trust the Bible? Are we going to trust our feelings? Are we going to trust the news? Are we going to trust who are we going to trust? And what we get here is God saying, this is who I am, and it screams trust. Now, there's a couple parts of it that I mentioned were challenging, the whole idea of God's jealousy, the idea of God's justice, and we sort of looked at those a little bit. But the passage screams God is trustworthy. Even when we don't understand what's going on, God is trustworthy. Have a good study.